Sumeyye Yar. I am actually a biologist, but I'm also a maker who is interested in reconstructing historic scientific tools. For my project, I reconstructed two recipes that describes how to oil paint on taffeta without oil running. Both folio 42V and 10V share two ingredients. Those are honey and alum of water. Different from those common ingredients, folio 42V calls for starch water, while folio 10V calls for rabbit skin glue. The first problem that we identified with oil painting of taffeta was the transfer of all paint to the backside of the fabric. Another problem with oil painting on taffeta is easily visible on this different taffeta sample. When you look over here, you will see that when there is no sizing applied on taffeta surface, an oil ring forms around the painted area. Comparing this no size applied taffeta test to a size taffeta test, at first glance we don't see much difference, but when we turn them around, we see that this no size applied taffeta sample let the paint pass through the fabric. Versus in this example, when you look to the right side, you see that the sizing material formed actually a physical barrier and prevented the oil seeping through the taffeta. Oil runs through the fabric and passes to the backside of the fabric. Neither of these recipes give us any information about the ratios of the ingredients. That's why I chose some starting concentrations and then tried out combination of different ratios of those ingredients. I would like to mention that out of 8 different tests that I have done for folio 42V, only one of them actually worked. And that one was the one with highest wheat starch concentration. The rest, which you can see here, did not work. They were just similar to no size application. The higher the mixed wheat concentration, easier it forms a physical barrier on the surface of fabric. Folio 10V seemed to work much better than folio 42V because all the 6 different tests that I have done for 10V actually worked. Remember that the only different ingredient between 10V and 42V is that 10V uses rabbit skin glue versus 42V uses wheat starch paste. Under these conditions, it seems like rabbit skin glue functions better than wheat starch paste. And let me show you some examples. Here you again see on the left no size applied taffeta, and on the right you see a battery mixed applied. And when I turn them around, you see that battery completely blocks the transfer of the paint on the backside of the taffeta. And this was the case for all the tests. No matter how I change the concentrations of ingredients, as long as I used rabbit skin glue at a concentration of 6% up to 10%, it worked. To sum up, comparing my findings to the findings of the previous groups suggested that the choice of taffeta is actually very crucial for successful application of these recipes. In addition to the choice of taffeta, of course the ratios also play an important role, but the binding oil is also very crucial, and it seems like 100% linseed oil worked the best. Our historical research suggested that oil painting on taffeta might have been used on banners that were carried on festivals, processions, and royal entries. As a showpiece for completion of my project, I decided to paint out the shield of the Batoon family, which is found on the binding of our manuscript. And you can see here that the paint went on smoothly after applying a Batura mixture that was prepared according to one of the test mixtures that I used. And when I turn it around, you can see that there is no transfer of the dye to the backside of the taffeta.
One of the great findings of Sumeyye's annotation was that it tells us a little bit more about the kinds of ephemeral art that we know that people experienced in the early modern period, things like painted banners that were carried in triumphs and processions. But these things have often been lost to us. They were very delicate, they often weren't saved or collected by museums later on. But one of the great things about our manuscript is that it reminds us of the kinds of practices that artists were having to think about, like how to stop oil running through a fine taffeta when they were making these objects. So it's been a great finding for the lab with our focus on ephemeral art and to get us thinking about the kinds of practices that the author practitioner was doing every day in his workshop.